You're listening to the Canadian Women of the Outdoors podcast, the first podcast by Canadian women for Canadian women about Canadian women. Brought to you by Revolution Armory. Join the revolution. And True North Baits, superiority quality fishing tackle. See what the fuss is about. For 10% off all plastics, use code CWO10. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Canadian Women of the Outdoors, and we are live at the Lodge. I apologize if the audio is not that great, but we're recording live from Waterfalls Lodge today. I was invited with Lorianne Horst from Canadian Sportswomen's Society to help host Waterfalls Lodge First Ladies of the Lodge weekend, and I'm super lucky to have one of the managers, ladies who runs the lodge and who's doing this weekend with us. I'd like to introduce you to Allie. I don't know your last name.
Gibson.
Okay. Well, again, so Allie is the one that has started running this weekend. I think it was you and Teresa that came up with the idea.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, big shout out to our sponsors, Revolution Armory. Goose season, waterfowl season is among us. Get your Revolution Armory guns. They're amazing. And True North Baits, fall fishing, ice season coming up. Use code CWO10 for 10% off all their plastics. I guarantee you it's going to be worth it. So before we get into life at the lodge, where, young lady, did you come from?
So I was born in Manitoba, but
grew. What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Manitoban. Tobian. So I was born in Thompson, Manitoba. So I'm from the pretty far, like Thompson, Manitoba isn't too far from Churchill, Manitoba. So
I know where Winnipeg is.
Yes. So Churchill, Manitoba is like the polar bear capital of Canada.
Oh, so have you seen a polar bear?
Well, yeah, I have. But I grew up most of my life in Thunder Bay, northwest of here, and moved to this area when I was about 11.
Okay.
So I've been in this area most of my life now, but I still consider my roots are back home in northwestern Ontario.
So, like, obviously, helping run a lodge now, you must have an interest in the outdoors, fishing, hunting. Do you do both those things, and what got you into those things?
I grew up in this industry. My grandfather, he ran a fishing resort in Lac Seul, so Sioulacout. That's where I spent all my summers. I learned how to fish there. I learned how to hunt there. I learned just really about the lodge business and how to. I was cleaning cabins for my allowance money when I was 5. So I grew up in this environment.
It's not a bad way to get allowance money.
No, not at all.
Fish, clean, get paid.
Absolutely. It was his was Lac Seul Outpost. He did not allow Canadians in. He was a very stubborn man. He was Americans only. And very old school fishing lodge. Only did the kind of high end Southern Americans from like Florida, Texas, things like that.
People that don't really get the opportunity.
And marketing it to people who this environment, especially Northwestern Ontario, is so foreign to them, and marketing it as like a once in a lifetime kind of fishing trip. If you know Lac Seul at all.
Yep. Fishing with dynamite, essentially, up there.
Exactly.
It's not fair.
It's something to do, actually, with the hydroelectric dams. I couldn't go into the science of it exactly, but there is a side to why that lake is so good. So I got really, really spoiled, especially with walleye fishing. That's primarily what I caught growing up all around Northwestern Ontario. Excellent walleye fishing. With pike. I never caught a muskie, but I've seen the muskies. But yeah, that's how I kind of started my love for it. It wasn't really that I never got into it, say, as a sport or anything like that. To me, it was never about that. For me, it was more about the connections and the family moments and spending time with those I loved, because my grandfather, my father, my mom all loved fishing, and I loved just being a part of that.
Yeah.
And I think when you go into it with that mindset of I don't really care if I catch the fish, I usually caught the most fish.
That's usually how it happens. And you're absolutely right about like northwestern Ontario. When we went up there, because we went up to Vermilion Bay area, and we ended up getting to fish Lac Seul and stuff like that. It is truly like fishing with dynamite. Like you throw on a jig head and a minnow, and you're catching fish. We were catching our limits in like 10, 15 minutes. It's not fair.
My primary job, like one of my primary job here, is to run the bait and tackle store. And I came into this because I hadn't kind of been in this lifestyle for a while. I was more focusing on other careers, went to Southern Ontario, and I came back and I was like, I've never fished with anything but a jig head because I grew up on Lac Seul. I never needed anything more. Yeah. So I'm learning about spinners and bottom bouncers and all these new tackle things. And I'm like, oh, I thought you just literally put it in the water and it came up. So it's been a learning curve a little bit.
So because I got to ask, you look like you're 21, 22. Am I right?
No, I get that a lot. I'm 28.
Okay.
So
I was going to say, you look like you're just fresh out of university.
I know I get that a lot. If I don't get carded, I get offended. Like, I'm like, really? Like, look at me. Look, come on.
So when you said you were in Southern Ontario, did you go to school in Southern Ontario?
I did. I spent 6 years in Windsor.
So you went...
Boom.
So when you said Southern Ontario, here I am thinking GTA. No. You literally went from
I only move in 10-hour increments. So Thunder Bay to Elliott Lake, this area is 10 hours. And then I moved to Windsor, that's another 10 hours. It's like, I can only move in those 10-hour increments.
Oh my God. So what did you take in school then?
Actually, I started out in social work. I went to school too young, like many of us do.
We all?
And I completely flunked out. Like I was not emotionally, like I was a young 18-year-old. I was a very young 18-year-old.
That's a very mature thing of you to say, though.
Yeah, I honestly, anyone I know kind of entering into that lifestyle, I'm like, take a year, take 2 years. I know it's hard to go back to school when you've already started working, but it's way more worth it than wasting 15 grand on not knowing what you want to do.
Been there, done that.
Exactly. I think so many of us have. So I flunked out, and then I got a diploma. I went to college, did really well, and got a diploma in public relations, and then looked at my credits and saw that I only needed like 4 or 5 credits to get a degree in psychology, just based on the courses I already had. So I have a degree in psych and a diploma in public relations.
Wow.
It doesn't really translate to fishing lodge, but somehow here we are.
I mean, but at the same time, like I always preach, like this is gonna sound really bad. Like I don't know how to word this without it sounding really bad. I'm just gonna say obviously this is something you're passionate about, right? And you're good at it.
I hope so.
Like so far, and we'll get into the details of what's been going on this weekend. But so far, you've been amazing with us. Pardon me. You've been absolutely like as soon as we walked in yesterday. Oh, hey, like you've got such this bubbly, amazing personality. You're so good with people. You ran the event tonight, which again we'll get into. You ran the event tonight. Like you have been incredible thus far with these people, and I can only imagine that the other guests that come to this lodge feel the same way. So that being said, how did you come to be a part of this lodge? How long have you been involved with this lodge?
So it's kind of a funny story. I've been here a little over a year. I started in August of last year.
That was before the Sportsman Show?
That was before. So the August before.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God.
August 2023. I started here. Completely left field from what I was in social work. I was deep kind of in the trenches of social work, working in child protection, very, very heavy.
I can only imagine some of the crap you've seen.
Exactly. And I went through kind of a transition year, a lot of change in my life. I had some death in the family, and I just got completely burnt out by the real world.
Burnout is real.
it was very, very real. And my mentor and the other lady who runs the lodge, Teresa, we had worked together in the past, and she knew that I was like, I'm getting to my limit here. And she had just started managing the lodge because she had a background in tourism. And she came to me and she's like, come work for me. I know you can do this. And I was like, I don't have any, like, I haven't done this. I've been in social work for like 5 years. But my grandfather ran the fishing lodge, and he passed away in January. And I was like, you know what? Things are just kind of lining up. What a cool way to honor him and go work in the field that if life had been different, I probably would have ended up in anyways.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I said goodbye to my social work job and went and worked at a fishing lodge. My coworkers, when I told them, I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to work at a fishing lodge. They're like, excuse me? And I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? I'm getting it. And it was so needed for clarity, mental health, everything, like getting to show up at this gorgeous property every morning before anyone got here and look out on the water when there's still that mist on the water and just make people have a good experience. There's nothing all that deep about it.
Yeah. But
it's making people happy and making memories with people.
Well, especially when you're the first one if you're running the main shop there, you're the first one they see when they, like, again, when we walked in yesterday, like, hey, Lori and Nicole, and immediately just, we felt welcome. I felt like I'd known you for like years already. I'm like,
and that's what we kind of strive to do here. We always get, like, no matter what kind of experience, if they catch fish, if they don't catch fish, you know, there's a lot of up in the air when you're working in this business. You can't control the weather. You can't control if the fish are biting. You can't control if there's a mouse in their cabin, because we are in the north.
I'm assuming there's a story behind that.
I mean, we're in the north. Mice get in.
Yes, that is.
But
I'm in the south, and mice get in. So,
but we can control, like, that people have a good experience with their customer service.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that me and Teresa both have really brought to the lodge, is making sure that everyone who leaves here has a good experience with the people. So, because that's what it's about. It's about people.
Yeah. So you're here every day then?
Just about. In the winter, I do the reservation. So my technical job is guest service manager.
Okay.
So I take care of all the reservations, special events, complaints, which we all love.
Yeah.
And basically I'm running the day-to-day of making sure that the guests are happy.
So in a day, like, take me through a day of your job here. Like, what happens usually in a day?
I'll take you through
on a normal day.
On a normal day, I mean, it's simple until it's not. It's very simple. I make sure that, I get my list out. Maintenance knows what they're doing, and they're assigning boats to people. Housekeeping knows where they're going, which cabins are being cleaned. I know which cabins are going out on excursions, booking different trips for people, giving recommendations. But then usually a pipe blows, or a water system fails, or a septic bursts. Yeah. And those are the things that, I mean, this lodge is old. It's an old lodge.
But you wouldn't actually know. We were talking about this a little earlier at supper. You wouldn't actually know this lodge is that old, because everything is beautiful here. It is gorgeous. If you want to go somewhere north to fish, and we'll talk about the excursion in a second. Waterfalls Lodge, just outside of Spanish Ontario. You got to come here. I walked into my cabin and I was like, oh my God, like, this is beautiful. Like, how long has the lodge been in again?
Over 100 years.
You wouldn't know.
Well, some cabins, I mean, the cabin you're in is one of the nicer cabins.
Whoa.
But they, like, this building here is probably built in the 70s.
But you wouldn't know because it all looks updated.
And that's what we're striving for, but it's the things happening beneath the infrastructure and everything and things like that usually take up a good portion of the day, because when things go wrong, it's when it rains it pours. And that's usually how it happens. If one thing breaks, then we know in a day probably 5 other things are gonna break.
It's like what comes in threes or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Threes and sevens. Yeah,
exactly. So it's really being able to think on your feet and handle stress, because you have incoming guests and you're like, oh, do I have to move this guest? Where am I going to put them? And it's being able to think on your feet, handle pressure, and keep calm, because when you're managing, all of the other staff are kind of looking to you for an example. And if you aren't panicking, then they aren't going to panic. But managing was honestly not something that I originally planned for, but kind of when I started here, but kind of naturally progressed, because this is a very big lodge, and originally
it's huge.
Teresa was kind of Teresa is the brains behind this entire operation.
Just before, because I don't know if I mentioned this lodge is completely run by women.
Yes.
Like, and this lodge is 100% run by women. 2 manager women who are amazing. That's why I had this young lady on. Just before, I think I forgot to mention that. So
absolutely, and I think there's a lot of obstacles with that coming into this. And
I'm sure you have men show up.
Absolutely.
And like,
where's the manager?
Do you have that? We're going to digress a little bit. Do you have that kind of problem?
Absolutely.
Sometimes?
And it
like
was
you guys offer hunting.
We do, and that has been, this is actually our first year going into hunting, and that has been a complete, like, there's so much that I'm learning, even just about the ministry, the tags, everything like that. I'll be perfectly honest and say that I started from the ground zero with that, and it's been a big learning curve for me.
Nothing wrong with admitting that. At least you're taking the time to learn about it, though.
Absolutely, and that's we also have amazing guides and amazing mentors who are walking us through that with experience. But for me myself, I didn't know much about hunting, and so I'm kind of learning on my feet with it. And there are the odd times where it's like, oh, where's the manager? Oh, well.
You're looking at her.
Yeah. And there's like, oh, well, where's your husband? Those kind of things do tend to happen with me and Teresa both. It's like, well, because these lodges, this is a weird, because it's primarily, I find that these lodges are ran by married couples, usually, yes, older married couples who
from my experience with lodges and what I've heard from others, yes, is usually, and that's why
that's the model. Yeah,
and that's why when we all connected at the Sportsman show and we talked about this, when Teresa reached out about this weekend, I was like, yes.
And we're trying to make it a little bit more, we're bringing our strengths into it and trying to make it more modern and more what's the word I'm looking for, like palpable to maybe the younger generation that are coming in. Our bread and butter is always going to be, and God love them, like our old men fishermen who know what they want. They want this meal.
Same week every year.
Yeah, same week every year, same cabin. They know exactly where they're going, and God love them.
Yeah.
But COVID really took a hit for these places. COVID took a major, major hit for almost every single lodge. Like my grandfather's, he was only American. He would not let Canadians in. So when COVID hit for him, it was a huge, because he didn't have any sort of Canadian clientele. He
I
was
was gonna say,
empty.
He didn't even make contacts to try and bring them in.
He was a very stubborn man.
Is he European by any chance?
Actually, yes.
Okay,
yes,
that explains it. Yeah.
He was very to his dying breath. He was very stubborn man, and he wouldn't. I'm like, Grandpa, you're sitting in an empty camp. Like, why don't you bring? And he's like, no Canadians. And I'm like, he would learn a lot more.
But you can,
cuss words
like,
in that.
Business wise, you can charge Americans a lot more.
The business model, that's what worked pre-COVID, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
But COVID kind of changed everything. It changed how we had to market, changed how we had to look at the fishing lodge industry, turning more towards, okay, people are taking staycations now. So before, really, we didn't even think about going to Toronto for a sportsman show, because it's like, well, why would they? There's not going to be much of a market there. But it was super successful because there's more and more people not wanting to leave the country and wanting to explore our own beautiful, beautiful country that's only 6 hours. We're about 6 hours away from Toronto.
Yeah, I think it took us about 5.5 hours.
Yeah, 5.5 hours, 6 hours. So it's focusing more on the younger generation, focusing really, really on families coming in. Family, because I think that's where we're missing, is families looking for those kind of connections and learning about fishing, because we have a lot of families who came in and their dads didn't fish because it's kind of missed maybe a generation.
Yeah.
Or they fished when they were little, but they don't really know, but they want their kids to know how to fish. And so I'm seeing that managing this lodge more and more of, I think, more families and even more young people in general are starting to come back towards nature.
Yeah, as it should be, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, what are we going to do if there's a zombie apocalypse?
Exactly.
We're all going to be going to the woods, fishing and hunting and stuff like that.
Exactly. So, and making it digestible for people. Like, okay, I have our cabins, you automatically get a boat with your cabin because.
Which is amazing, I have to point out. Because a lot of lodges are not like that.
Well, it's all it's like, oh, you may look at our prices and be like, oh, that's a little expensive, but we don't have any of those hidden costs. It's, okay, here's your cabin, here's your boat. Like, it's all inclusive. It
was funny. I was looking at prices just because I was curious. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, like, okay. And then I scroll down and you're like, on the website, it says it includes all. I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. So that's not actually a bad.
Yes. Whereas other places may price it, but it's like, oh, but then you add the gas, you add the boat, you add the motor, you add like the meals all in there.
It's just,
you add, I mean, we don't supply the bait, but.
Well, most people should have some bait. Like.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, focusing on families has been a really big part of what me and Teresa have really done. We also, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name, but we have a program through Young Fishers, but we have like free fishing rods for like young people who come in who don't know how to, who maybe are just starting out with for fishing. So we have kid rods that we can give out for free. We always make sure that like our guides are amazing. They'll come in and say, okay, well, this guy's never fished. Can you just run through how to put his line on?
Yeah. And
our guides will be like, absolutely, yes, no problem, and sit with them for 20 minutes to an hour.
That's
just talking about that, because I mean, who could say no to the kids though?
No, you can't say no to the kids. I ran a kids fishing derby a couple weeks ago. So
I had so much fun.
It is a lot of fun.
We would love to do something like that here. We in the spring we had a huge event it was called the Waterfalls Lodge Warriors Weekend, where we had over 30 veterans come.
Don't pull on my heartstrings with that.
We had 30 veterans come up for the weekend completely free. We fundraised all winter to get through the legions and through our own
Ladies and gentlemen, if that alone is not enough to get you to look into this lodge.
It was such an incredible weekend. We had so many amazing sponsorships from all veteran-owned businesses and things like that.
If you're doing that again next year, you let me know.
Absolutely. We are doing it again. We had Lures for Vets come in. We had sponsorship from medical cannabis companies who do really good work with the veterans. And we had so many prizes for them, and it was an emotional weekend.
I can only imagine.
It was like people coming in from Petawawa, the Army basing, active members who hadn't been in the service for 20, 30 years.
I have a couple friends who are vets, and my brother-in-law, he's American, but my brother-in-law is actually served overseas for the United States Army. So the veteran thing is very close to my heart. And as soon as you tugged on my
I'm Army.
If you need anything with that next year,
absolutely,
I'm your girl. Like
my grandfather, I come from an Army house. Yep. So does my partner Teresa. Her husband is a vet. Her dad was a vet. One of my best friends served overseas. So being able to do something like that, really, and having the freedom to do those events that honestly we need to make ourselves like, okay, so we're in this position, how can we help? Because we both come from social work backgrounds. Yeah. So you can take the social worker out of the social work practice, but you can't take the social worker out of social work. So
you should get in touch with Mindful Fishing. Okay. So she's a company, she's out of I forget where she's on Charleston Lake. So her name is Christine. I'll give you her contact information. But it's Mindful Fishing, and it's basically what she does is fishing therapy for people with PTSD.
Exactly.
Veterans, first responders.
That's what we were doing.
She runs a fishing tournament every year for veterans and first responders. I should get you in touch with her because
we would love that.
Maybe the two of you,
we're always looking for ways to improve. That was our thought, is to make this kind of a way for just show our appreciation, first of all, and have vets come in. Honestly. But also, it's such an important part of mental health. Fishing as therapy, amazing. It's amazing. There's so many stories of vets coming in and saying how, okay, well, I used this program and somebody took me out fishing and it helped. Nothing else helped, but this helped.
I had someone on who has a business called The Cure is Outdoors. And it deals, her entire business is talking about being outdoors, hunting, fishing, and stuff like that as therapy. It's true. Even being here this weekend with as much outdoorness as I struggle with ADHD, mental health myself. And I haven't felt this calm and just relaxed in a very long time. It does that to you. Spending as much time as we have on the water, even when we went grouse hunting a little bit earlier. And I'm so pumped for tomorrow.
Yes.
And I guess we should kind of dive into that, because the whole reason I'm here is for this ladies at the lodge weekend, where did this idea did this come before or after the sportsman show?
This came
You
after.
with Teresa when you guys
Actually,
came up
I wasn't. Teresa was on her own there. I only heard about it after.
But then I went to the booth.
And I was probably at the booth. But I was walking around. It was
she didn't call us until a couple months after the sportsman show. We had all just connected the sportsman show.
Yes.
She connected with Lorianne, and me and her connected, and so that's all happened. Then she messaged a few months. I think it was May or June.
And that's when we were kind of cooking it up.
Yeah. So May or June, she's like, hey, ladies, we're thinking of this. What do you think? And both me and LA were just like, yes. What do you need from us?
Absolutely. So we are constantly brainstorming how to drum up business, because managing, we have to drum up business
at the end of the day. Yes,
but also how to make it fun. We don't want to just be a fishing lodge. We have to have more. For me personally, I have to have more. I have to have events like this, events like Warriors Weekend, where I'm doing that little extra and beyond, where I I get to meet beautiful people like you, and I get to connect with my guests, and it's not just that kind of transactional relationships. I want to have experiences where we can really connect with people.
Yeah.
And that's honestly how you drum up a good that's how you drum up your business base in this industry, is by connection.
How did you and Teresa start were you just toying with the idea of like having ladies up, or like?
Yeah, we were toying with the idea. So basically the Warriors event went so well. But but it was primarily males. We did have a couple of female veterans come up for the weekend.
But in all reality, the majority is male.
Yes. But we are actually so pumped to have a couple of just single veteran females come up for the weekend. And we were kind of like looking at that, and we're like, okay, and seeing and they were like, well, we haven't really done this before, and maybe we can do this. And that's kind of a little bit where it sparked the idea of, I bet there are so many women out there who want to experience something like that, but just don't feel invited or don't feel included to. So framing it as ladies at the lodge and making it just a very, very in-your-face invitation to you as a woman to come and experience fishing. It's not just for men. You are invited.
Well, and it's also not just fishing.
Exactly. Yes.
Like you have planned this entire weekend, and it's been, well, tonight was just the first event. Like me and LA came yesterday. We've been fishing, but tonight was just the first. I am no artist. We did a paint and sip tonight. So the ladies got to have some cocktails, wobbly pops, and paint. And we learned that I am no artiste. No, I'm not. I'm no Picasso. I'm like, I don't even want to take that home. It's so embarrassing.
No, I love it.
And then it's again. So this whole weekend is aimed and geared towards it. So what other activities do you have planned for these ladies?
So basically, it's focused on relaxation, but also fun activities that you might not get to experience.
Each lady has a boat, right?
Each lady does have
each group.
So you paid to come in. All your meals were included. You get a boat.
Delicious meals so far, by the way, too. Like the chef camp up here, the kitchen. Delicious meals so far.
He knows his portions and he does them well. He knows
they're huge.
And after fishing all day, that is
huge.
What we want.
I'm like, oh my God. I rolled out of here last night after supper, and I was just lying on.
And we never skimp on portions.
Oh, I was brutal. I didn't even want to go fishing again after supper because I was like, I can't move.
But so all of your meals are included. You get a boat and motor upon check-in, and also we have maintenance men on site. So obviously you need your boater's license to drive the boat. But
I'm kidding. I have it. I have it. Don't worry. I'm just being an ass.
But we do have our maintenance man. So say it's been a while and everything like that. He'll show you how to work it. He'll show you all the safety procedures on it. Because some people have the boating license, but maybe you have only driven like the steering wheel kind, not the tiller kind.
Well, it's funny because we were coming in a little after close to dark last night, and I started setting up the light, and LA was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm setting up the light. She's like, you have a light? I was like, well, you have to. Like, a lot of people forget little things like that.
Absolutely.
And it's really funny because there is a bunch of little things like that people do forget.
They do.
And it's like I'm like, it's not dark, but we're getting close. I'd rather just have the light on there and we ended up coming in. Yeah, we ended up coming in. It was still light, but I was like, you know what? Just because.
And it gets at like this time of year, just it feels like you like it's a.
Well, and I was starting to get worried. I was like, and I'm like,
you're on an unfamiliar lake,
and that's the thing. Yeah. Like, if it was a lake I knew, it'd be a little different story. But I was like, I can't see, and like, I don't have. There's not the boats. First of all, your boats actually come with depth finders and stuff like that.
Yes, they do. Live well, depth finders. You can optional to add a trolling motor.
That is amazing itself. But I was missing the GPS aspect. I was like, oh, like that would be nice on an unfamiliar lake. Just maybe. If you guys feel like upgrading some days,
absolutely. We're looking at obviously that's.
But the fact that you
capital
guys
expense, and we love our boats, but we know there's a lot of upkeep that we need to do on
I
them.
have stayed at lodges where you are lucky. Like it's
yes,
not. It's like a 12-foot. So me and LA came in, and we were thinking, oh, it's just gonna be like a little 10, 12-foot tinner, blah blah blah. We get on the boat and we look at it and we're like, holy shit.
There's
like,
a good boat. It's
we're like,
16 feet.
So there's 16 footers.
Yep.
It's a push button start.
Yep.
And you actually have electronics on it.
We do.
And I was like, okay, like no, I'm not mad at this.
No, like I think for we don't get complaints on our boats really. I mean, obviously there's maintenance and stuff like that. People do get stuck on the lake. It happens. And it's our maintenance man's favorite job to go and tow people back.
It is what it is. You're gonna get stuck whether you're in $100,000 boat.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a mechanic myself.
Yes.
I know. Like something is bound to go wrong.
When you have so many boats and so many on the water, it's just gonna happen.
And the amount that get used too.
Well, like, that's the thing, and they're not being used by the owners. And yes. I love my guests, everything like that. But it's different. But it's different when it's like using a rental car. Are you going to take the best care of your rental car ever? No, because it's not yours. So you're gonna go a little bit harder on the motor. So they take a lot.
Start it properly and the shifting and stuff like that. Like a lot of people don't know actually.
And I think that's a good reason why we went for the push start.
Yeah.
In the end, because I mean, thinking of some of my poor guests tugging on that.
Yeah.
I mean that
I'm a young buck, but I'm only 33, but I have a shoulder injury, and tugging on a thing that's what I was like.
I love how we both called it the thing. We're both looking for the word, but we don't.
the start. Well, whatever.
The pull tug.
Yeah, we all know what it is. Yeah,
we're looking. I can see it in my head.
Exactly, like the pull starter thing. I'm a mechanic. I don't know.
Pull starter. I think we're close.
Whatever, it works. But yeah, no. As I'm only 33, but I also still have shoulder injuries. So like yanking on it is like not for me. Like I love the push start.
Absolutely.
And like those motors, they have started so nicely. And mind you, I also know how to run it. So there's never been any.
Absolutely. Like,
anything,
and it's included in your price. It's good maintenance on our motors, absolutely, like that. They're easy to work, they're easy to learn. Even if you have your boater's license, we take you for a spin if you're not comfortable, because it's good for you guys, but it also saves us in the end too.
Well, the money, that's the thing. It's like, oh, okay.
So yeah, I feel like we've lost track a little. I don't know.
Yeah, we were on the ladies of the lodge. So the ladies at the lodge weekend. We were talking about the paint and sip tonight. So.
Tomorrow's activities, that's where we were at.
Yeah, you have now taken over hosting this weekend. We did the paint and sip tonight, where we learned that Nicole is no Picasso. Tomorrow morning, we get breakfast, and so again, all the meals included, which is amazing. And we actually get our choice at breakfast.
Yeah.
And they have gluten-free options.
We do. Our dining
Time out, guys. This is huge. I didn't know this. They have gluten-free options. So for my stomach and my problem, gluten-free, way to go.
Absolutely.
Waterfalls Lodge, ladies and gentlemen.
We carried her to basically any sort of dietary restriction.
Do you know how hard that is to find now?
We're going to make it work. If you're a vegetarian, if you're vegan, if you're gluten-free, we are lucky enough, well, I guess not lucky for her, but to have several members of our kitchen staff who are celiac, so they know how to, because all of us,
that brownie I had tonight,
Absolutely, and it's our
It is
desserts.
gluten-free.
Our desserts are made in-house and our main baker is gluten-free.
Yeah.
So she knows how to work with gluten-free. That actually makes it taste good.
Anyway,
so yeah, that is a
moving on
big
to
plus.
Tomorrow. So tomorrow, there's so much planned tomorrow. Oh my goodness.
Breakfast. I had all the ladies sign up for the activity they wanted.
How many activities were you offering for this?
So ATVing.
You could go fishing.
So we had about 4 daytime activities to choose from. So the first is we had limited availability on this one, but we have like 3 rounds of our UTV ATV tour that our guide. Yes, our guide is going to take the ladies out on our big mules. So there are 2 rows out there, and just like kind of show them the area around here. I mean, you're gonna see some grouse. Absolutely, it's a gorgeous time of year here. The colors of the leaves changed a little early.
Yeah, I noticed that we were driving.
Yeah, but it's getting more and more vivid as we're coming along. Yeah. So just showing like the really beautiful area of northeastern Ontario. All the maple. No, we're northeast. I'm a true northwest.
I was going to say, okay.
I'm a true.
To me, let me rephrase that. I didn't mean to correct her because I'm being an ass. I am from Burlington, Ontario. This is northwestern Ontario to me. My apologies.
And this is northeastern.
I was not meaning to be an ass. I am so sorry.
I guess I'm a little snooty about my northwesternism.
No. You're 100% right. That is, but I'm from the GTA. Grew up, born and raised there, so I totally get where you're coming from, being somebody from the north. So I apologize. Northeastern, yes.
Don't get me started on the Southerners.
Hey, you're
pretty. I like 1 in a dozen. I swear.
I'm pretty sure I was born and not meant to be in the city, though. I think that was immediate from the day I could start talking.
Do you think you'll always be in the city? I'm gonna start interviewing.
I'm not in the city. I was born and raised in the city, and I moved up to Bruce County, which is country.
Yes, yeah.
So my town has a post office.
I love that.
That's it. That's all. All it has is a post office. Elmwood, Ontario. Nobody knows where the hell it is. So I definitely moved, and then the farm that Caitlin's parents have is like 6 minutes from us, and that's got 175 acres. That's where we do all our hunting and stuff like that. And it's very country. So
you're where I'm
supposed to be. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But okay, so tomorrow they can go on the UTV tour, and then we also me and my co-host are leading a kayak tour just around the lake. We have we have like 5 or so kayaks.
Okay,
we're just gonna do a little one around the lakes for the ladies. You have the option to go fishing on that day on your own, and then we have axe throwing going on. So we're going to have an axe thrower come in and teach us the proper techniques. We're going to have like hay barrels and stuff like that for targets.
Anybody wants me to throw an axe.
No, and that's the one I'm most excited for, because it's a stress relief, and it's also like me personally, I don't get to hold an axe too often. I know how to hold an axe. I know how to chop wood, but I just don't do it very often. I don't have a fire. I unfortunately don't have a fireplace. So I'm excited. I'm just excited to, throw an axe and kind of get into.
I guess
stress relief.
I guess with women, and this may be a joke, and I'm going to make it anyway. Women are leaving their husbands at home. They may be needing to take some anger out.
Exactly.
Or their partners. I guess maybe not husbands, partners.
Exactly.
We're politically correct here, ish. They may need to take some anger out, and they want to.
So we got fishing, we got ATVing, we got kayaking, we got axe throwing.
And then what's at night?
And then we're doing a dirty bingo. At night. And after, so we we got the prizes ready. Like I don't know.
Cannot wait. I kind of want to host it myself.
Absolutely.
I'm the loudmouth that will make all the jokes.
I have a playlist.
Like, I'm just ready. Like, I want the mic, and I'm like, let me host it. Like, just
I can do it.
I'm like, oh god, I'm so excited.
We're playing We're playing 5 rounds, and yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I put a lot of work into my playlist for Dirty Bingo. I have a full it's about 3 hours long of the most perfect dirty songs that I could think of. Like,
if I don't hear Unholy on there.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, snap. There we go. Gave her an idea.
But yes, and then we're going to do a bonfire on the beach. We're going to have a tipsy s'more bar. So we're going to have a lot of different chocolate bars and just,
Bailey's.
Bailey's, coffee. What we're doing is we are soaking marshmallows in brandy.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it will be a lot of fun and just, best stories are around a campfire.
Is this going to be like a weekend that you guys want to continue to do every year?
Absolutely. This is a weekend that we want to expand on.
Everybody listening, you need to sign up for this.
Absolutely. It's a weekend we want to expand on. This was just our test run to see, okay, if we put this out there.
And how do you think it's gone so far?
I think it's gone amazing, actually. We had 16 participants, and that's the number that I was aiming for. I didn't want a huge group to start because I was like,
let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Let's see how this goes first. The more people I have, the more staff I have to grab for it. Absolutely. So I'm just like, okay, well, let's see if we have any interest in this. And there's a little bit more interest kind of trickling in. Absolutely. And I think our first one went really well. If we knock this one out of the park
with the promotion, and everything, again, this.
Absolutely.
People will be like, huh, I'm sure I'm.
And and looking at next year, adding more activities, maybe making it Thursday, and giving people the option whether or not they can do the full 3 nights or just do the 2 nights.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have lots of space, and we can't really do it during our high season. That's the thing.
September's not bad. Bugs are mostly gone.
So
bugs are mostly gone up here, people. Just a heads up.
When we do these kind of events, we kind of have to play the edges a little bit. So our Warriors weekend, we did that in early May before Walleye Open.
Yeah.
And then here with these kind of ones, we're doing it later in September because we can't really. It's really, really hard to run these kind of events when you're a full house.
Unless you get the numbers too.
Yes, and it's hard doing these kind of events when you have all the regular guests here too. So these are the kind of things that we can kind of do on those shoulder seasons to drum up more business. Yes, but also we can offer it at a little bit of a lower price point too.
Which is key too.
Yeah.
The price was not bad for this weekend.
No.
It considering that includes all your meals and the packed lunches, the cutest things. I got a Mickey Mouse lunch bag today full of my lunch. Oh my goodness. So freaking cute.
We do have really, really cute lunch bags, but sometimes we'll give a grown man a princess lunch bag. We have to have our fun somewhere.
You have to. It's so much fun.
And then, you know what? We always have those kind of camaraderie relationships with our guests, and that's what makes it worth it. Right? It makes it worth coming.
And then
to work.
They come back. I want to come back next year. I'm
Absolutely.
if you're doing this ladies weekend, I'm in.
Absolutely.
It's been an amazing experience thus far. It's been just even seeing the bald eagle. First of all, I've never seen a bald eagle. Seen one up here, swoop in, catch a fish.
And those are the things that just happen here. You can see a moose taking a bath. You can see the bears climbing.
That.
Well, they do come out.
The lady who was serving us breakfast this morning, I don't know her name because I forgot to grab it. But the one who was doing breakfast this morning, she's like, "Oh, I saw a bear on my drive in," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" It's
every day. It's every day for I have bears outside my apartment right now who are just playing on my garbage bins like a jungle gym. We forget that seeing that kind of wildlife, I always see on my drive to work, fox, not a beaver, but usually porcupine. I see a lot of porcupines. I mean, we all see raccoons, but bears, everything like that. The bald eagles. I tell people, honestly, one of the things is like, oh, we really want to see a bear. I'm like, if you really want to go and see a bear, go to the dump.
We almost, when we were out fishing today, like there was a loon. There's a loon.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get so close to this loon and he don't care. Like we went right
it's
up
his
to
lake.
him. We went right up to him and I almost could touch him. I've never seen a loon that close before.
I realize I'm on the internet, so I probably be fact checked, but I'm pretty sure there can only be one either male loon on a lake. Like they control the lake. I'm pretty sure that's a thing that there.
For anybody listening, if you know the answer to this,
yes, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's one loon per lake.
Male.
And I'm assuming it's male. I'm assuming it's male. Males tend to be a little bit more territorial.
I don't know the answer to this question. So if you know and you're listening, please message us.
Absolutely.
Because now we need a fact check.
I need a fact check. Absolutely.
So, anyway, we are so past our hour mark for part one of Live at the Lodge, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably have you on again.
Absolutely.
For part 2 with me in LA, but thank you so much for coming on and being part of this part 1. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are live at the Lodge. We are sitting in the kitchen with the moose, well, not the kitchen, I guess, the dining hall.
The dining room.
With the antlers and the bear. This is Live at the Lodge part 1. Guys, tune in for part 2, which will be featuring me and Lorianne and hopefully Allie again. Hopefully I can convince her to come back on for another episode. I don't know, she might hate me after this one. Anyway, thanks, Allie.
No problem at all. Thanks.